Hello friends. So I wanted to do a video basically just to stop the messages that I've been getting where people have been sending me links to articles about Black Lives Matter, the organization, right? So there's been a lot of stuff in the press from sports to, I don't know, some charity individual who said that, the Black Lives Matter movement is like reverse racism or sort of like something like that. Like there's been loads of stuff. And people have been sending me the links and going, "Oh, Shereen, what do you think? Do you think this is setting back race relations? Do you think it's undoing all of the progress that has been made so far?" Firstly, what progress? Like, really? Do you know what I mean? But anyway, so I thought at first I was going to just do a little post, and then I thought, no, because there's not enough characters for me to do it justice. But also, it's very easy to write words, right, and let everybody jump on it because you've not used the right phrase or you meant something else. So I thought, what, let me just make this a video and clear it up straight off the bat. So what I'm not going to do is go through all of the things about Black Lives Matter UK or US or the movement or the organization, and all of the things that they're trying to push for, as to whether I agree with it or don't agree with it, or whether that's the vibe that I'm on. So I'm not even going to bother doing that because all I'm going to do is just remind everybody, so there's no room for any misunderstanding, the vibe that I am on. So I am purely focused about improving the experiences of Black people within the workplace and within business. So whether that means they're employees, whether that means they run their own business, whether that means they're starting their own business. That's what I'm focused on, right? And I'm trying to do in the best way that I know how to keep the consistent focus on looking at all the structural, the procedural, the cultural, the behavioural aspects of what stops Black people from being treated equally in society as manifested in the world of work. That's what I'm focused on. So this for me is not a political, um, I'm not like an activist or anything like that. I'm just somebody who's using, I guess, one of my strengths, right, to try and affect change in this way. So I am not, so if you send me a link in the nicest way possible, I'm likely to just not respond. Or I might just say like, thank you, and then nothing, you're not going to get anything else out of me. I'm not going to do any radio interviews about it. You're not going to see me on any other media channels. You're not going to see me going on any one podcast to talk about it because that's not what I am here to do. And I guess I would urge everybody who's seeing some of this stuff, please don't comment or send me a message using what's in the media as an opportunity to pick apart some of the things that I'm talking about because the two are not connected in that way, right? So I thought I just need to like just get that off my chest. And also for anybody who wants to just feel the need to like send me stuff, I think I'm just going to send them a link to this video actually. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not even going to say thank you. I'm just going to go, oh, please watch this. And I think the other thing that I want everybody to watch out for is that when you start allowing the conversation to be about whether you agree with the political aspirations of what the Black Lives Matter UK or the US version or whatever version is trying to affect, you move away from the fundamental principles of why they had to start in the first place. Remember, this is about dismantling structural racism. This is about having conversations and putting in place meaningful actions that means the systemic racism, which has manifested itself into the very fabric of our society and the very fabric of our businesses, is picked apart and sewn back together in a way that means Black people are treated equally. I said this before in my video yesterday, right, when I was talking about CEOs and HR directors who still ain't got the memo. And the day before, when I was talking about, the fact that you don't need millions in the bank to be able to demonstrate commitment to dismantling the very things that I've just talked about. And the other thing that I want to make clear is I never used, I don't, have I ever used like the hashtag Black Lives Matter? Possibly, like maybe early on. But the hashtag that I use is my hashtag, Show Us Black Lives Matter. It's a hashtag that's directed at leaders of businesses, of professional bodies, of institutions who can open the door to affect change. Show Us Black Lives Matter focuses on action, not discussion. Show Us Black Lives Matter is about receipts. What are you talking about? What are you doing? What are you still talking about? What are you still doing? And. That's the vibe that I'm on. Like, it's great that some sports stars are taking the knee or whatever else it is. If that's their way of trying to keep the conversation going, well, that's their way of doing it. But what I'm not going to do is get into a conversation about whether that's right or wrong. Do you know what I mean? Or whether I feel like taking the knee or not taking the knee, or expecting everybody else to take the knee, or talking about badges on t-shirts, or whether footballers should have this sewed on the back and what. Like, no, no, no. Because when you start to make it about that, what you're trying to do is move away from the uncomfortable bits of the conversation, which is about white privilege, which is about white supremacy, because then you want to talk to me about t-shirts. Do you know what I mean? It's the same reason why I never did a video about statues. Not because I do not think that is an important conversation to have, but remember my focus. Unless somebody, if there's a statue in a foyer of an office building, do you know what I mean? And all this conversation at right, fine, possibly I'll think about it. But they are symptoms. They are not the root cause. So if we are going to do the work with this, we have to focus on picking the bits that are the root cause, not the things that are symptomatic of the problem. Now, I'm not saying we don't need to address those, but they're being addressed in other arenas. But all I'm saying is, like, I am not willing to engage in conversation about the symptoms in that way. Do you know what I mean? I'm not willing to engage in conversations about things that I feel like are easy targets because it's distracting the conversation over there. And the reality is, like, most of the people who are sending me these messages, it's not from a genuine place of like we want to see you win. They're trying to find one thing to pick apart that they can go, there you go. This is the reason why we as white people can't sign up to this. I know that's what's behind it. Because let me tell you, it's not black people sending me the links to this bullshit. It isn't, you know? So I just want to save everybody the time and the energy. It's for the same reason why I said, in terms of when I explained how I deal with trolls. So you will never see me engaged in any conversations online or offline about who's done what, whether this post is really shit or this post is really outrageous. It doesn't matter how many times people tag me in it, because I'm starting to get tagged into some of this stuff. Like, tag me in it all you want, but I'm not engaging with it because that's not my focus. That's not the way that I want to affect change. If that's how other people choose to do that, that's on them. Do you know what I mean? And if they want to, you know, create a group and, everybody wants to talk about who's doing what and which person, trolled this person, and there's a space for that, but that's just not my vibe. Because in this, I said this at the very beginning, with everything that I do, it's about my personal values and my integrity showing up every single day. Even when I'm pissed off, I stand by everything I said because I know where it comes from, you know? Even when I'm telling off, well, you know what I mean, but, I've not got, I'm very pushy and very challenging and very provocative to CEOs or to HR people or to individuals or to white people, as a group or whatever else it is. But I'm doing that because I want us collectively to be better. When I talk about black people being complicit, that's not a blame thing. What I'm saying is we have to all look at ourselves in the mirror and go, okay, where do we stand with this? Which side of the fence do we want to firmly sit on? I talked about, not having splinters. So that's the bit that I can do really well, I believe. It's the bit that I want to continue doing. But I only pick the areas that I think are worth talking about for me to do it justice, not because it's trending, not because it's sensationalized by the media, and also not because there are some white people who are looking for an excuse to trip me up or to use what I say to trip up another black person, because that is also happening. So when I say to people like be on your guard and be aware, this is both for black people and white people who are allies and supporters. Don't get drawn into conversations which take away from the fact that we are talking about correcting generations of wrong. That we are talking about looking at the world with a completely different lens. That we are talking about we cannot move forward as a country, as economies, as communities, if there are parts or individuals within that who do not have the same opportunities as everybody else. You can't talk about, reanimating the economy on the back of COVID-19, safety, protecting people, do you know what I mean? Showing up in terms of what we're going to do for our green credentials to make sure we protect the planet and ignore the fact that black people are still not treated equally. And now that the world has woken up, because they can no longer feign ignorance, there are still some people who are deliberately choosing to turn a blind eye. That's what we need to be focused on, not the headlines in the newspapers or the magazines, which are trying to derail the conversation and trying to make it. Because the thing is, if you make this a political thing, you stop people from engaging in it. Equality, fairness, systemic racism is not politics. White supremacy is not politics. White privilege is not politics. It's about humanity, it's about fairness. So I guess I wanted to, clearly, I could never sum that up in a caption. But I just didn't want any room for any ambiguity about what I'm trying to do and what I stand for and the way that I try and engage with this conversation. Because I'm not going to allow anybody to try and polarize what I'm doing just because it suits their purpose, because they want me to be quiet. Or they're hoping that if they keep piling the pressure on like that, I'm going to shut up. So that's what I wanted to say. You know, nobody said it was going to be easy, but it's important. I think when these things happen, I've got to call it out. Because I don't want anybody to be thinking, oh my God, what's she like? She hasn't said anything about that. And I know I don't owe anybody anything before somebody tells me, like, Shereen, you don't owe anybody anything. I know, but I kind of do. Because if I want people to receive the message in the way that I intend and where it's coming from, then it also means I need to clear up what I won't do and the reason why I won't do certain things. So I hope that clears it up for now. Probably be something else next week, but we can deal with that. As always, thank you for listening.